See, there is a general talk that reviews can affect the movies. I don't know whether it's true because if I want to see a movie, I don't see any reviews until I have seen the movie. Then I will see the reviews. Uh, would you think that reviewers can make or mar a movie? Because that's the general opinion.
If it is a big movie with a big star or a big director or a big canvas, then pretty much people have made up their minds that they want to watch the movie. It's the smaller movies with unknowns, unknown director, where they're scared to step into a theater and because they have no idea who is this director, who are these actors, what is this? For those films, the encouragement may drive some people into the theater, but now with the OTT scenario, I don't know. Even with the smaller films, people might say, okay, that sounds promising, so let me file it away and then watch it when it comes on OTT. But yes, I think good reviews help smaller films than they do bigger films, which are typically called review proof, because like if you are a fan of a big star, you are pretty much going to watch
Even if the review is bad, the movies do very well.
But now more than ever, I think it is a very good time for what has become the driving factor for people to go or gauge the should I see it factor is word of mouth through social media. Facebook, like it's after the first day, first show, Facebook and Twitter and whatever else media are full of either people ranting about the movie or raving about the movie, and by the end of the first show, the movie's verdict has been decided. Right? So that pretty much takes away the burden from the reviewer of being the driver of people to word of mouth is already there, because I can never publish a review as soon as somebody tweets out something, that's come by the time I publish my review, some 5,000 tweets have already happened about the movie and word is sealed that this movie is good, bad, average, whatever it is. So I can just concentrate on the analysis part of it. It's like these are the things that work, these are the things that don't work, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you have written 2 screenplays. One movie came out in OTT, another one did not come out. Yeah. So are there any more screenplays that you're working on?
Kalki was a short film. I worked on another one after that, but that something happened which I can't reveal in public. But I'm working on one right now, which I hope at some point we make it into a film. But I've generally noticed that the thing about screenplays is that they take time. And they take time, and it's important to find a director who is willing to give you that time to kind of wrestle with it, and that's what I'm doing right now, because it's I also have a day job, so.
Most screenwriters also become directors for this reason, because trying to convince another director to see the way they see things.
No, I 2 reasons for that. One is I only write when a director approaches me. Okay. So which means that the director already has a vision. Okay. I'm only supplementing that vision and I'm adding my own flavors to that. So I'm deepening that vision with my input, but that basic vision belongs to the director. Okay, so every 5 scenes I send them, he's going to say or she's going to say, this is working, no, this scene is not working, this is working, this is not working. So, and then I alter. Either I try to convince them or they try to convince me, and finally we reach a thing. I have not, what you're talking about is a spec screenplay where I write something on my own and hope to reach a director who's going to be interested in it or direct it or something like that. That's not happened. But another thing is I'm more comfortable writing. Directing is, I think mentally I can direct a movie, but there is too much of logistical, too many parts at play, and I think you need to be a very good, you should have very good leadership skills to handle many egos and many differing viewpoints on a set and bring them all under you and under your vision, because very, very strong people have a tendency to make you think that what they say it so powerfully and so strongly that suddenly you might think, oh my God, this guy is saying something correctly. And you should not be swayed, because you should go back, be able to go back to your original vision and say, no, this, yes, he may be forceful, but this is what I want. And basically, I'm not a very good confrontational person. So I think directing is not going to be a job for me. So yeah, I'd probably be like, okay, just let's end this. Let's do it your way. You know, that'll kill the movie. So
Now, what would you tell an youngster who is very passionate about some job or some industry, but he is working in some other industry?
see, this is going to sound like an Instagram quote, but see, life is short. You have to do. I think there are two types of people, right? One who basically live the life that is programmed for them by society, culture, whatever, their own family, whatever it is. You hit these landmarks at these ages and you pretty much go through life. My job is just a way to earn money at the end of the day. I don't care what job I do. It's just the basic thing is I come home, I go at 9 o'clock, I come back at 6 o'clock, I'm watching TV, I'm relaxing, I'm spending time with my family, whatever it is. You know, they don't really care, which is actually the most peaceful way of living. If you ask me, that's like, you know, the best to be that. But there's this other set who have this monster inside them, which is always demanding to be fed. They could be an entrepreneur, they could be whatever it is, or they could be a creative person. But there is this thing of, I cannot do this normal thing. There is something in me that's forcing me to be different, and that something is demanding to be fed, and I have to listen to it and create, either make a movie or become a poet or write a novel or design a car or you know, do something risky basically, which is against something that is conventional and easy and which will bring easy money to you. I'm not saying easy money, every job is difficult, but which will bring guaranteed money to you as soon as you join the job or whatever it is. So I first tell them to say, what kind of person are you? It's okay to have a dream, but are you just saying this because you think it'll be nice, or do you really have that monster inside you that's demanding to be fed? If they say no, then I'll say, then just use your phone, make short films, do something on weekends, you know, put it up on your YouTube, circulate it among friends, do something. Because A, to make movies, there's a big skill set to be acquired, yes. And B, you never know when it's going to happen. Yes. See, for me to establish myself as a writer, it took 5-6 years. Okay. You know, so similarly, for that, in those 5-6 years, I was gritting my teeth
and your financials were taken by the previous job.
I'd luckily put aside some money when I was in the US, and because it was in dollars, there was a bit of a free cushion of conversion. But even that didn't really help much, you know, because you know, there were a lot of factors coming into play, and I was earning something like 500 rupees per review or something like that, 400 rupees per review or something like that. And if I got only 4 reviews a month, my monthly earning would be something like 2,000 rupees, which is not at any time like the most ideal thing. You know, it's like it's tough. So when I tell them, no, I had to grit my teeth for some time to be able to pull along. That's a tough time. But I know that internally, that if I don't put myself through this, I'm never going to be happy going back to a normal job, right? Now, if you really feel it that much, if it really matters to you that much, then I would say put yourself on a path where you are looking at a job that requires a lot of risks. Otherwise, take the conventional path, do whatever job that your degree or interest has taken you to, And that is also going to mean sometimes long hours, short hours, whatever it is. It's like I'm saying, that doesn't mean that this job is superior or that job is superior. I'm not talking about that kind of a thing at all. I'm just talking about there's a guaranteed way of income at the end of the day, whereas here you don't even know when you're going to get launched, or if you're going to get launched, or even if you get launched, is your first film going to be a success? Will somebody give you your second film? Then, how do you sustain? There are all kinds of questions. Let's say you want to become a music composer. I'm like anything.
Any, especially art.
Art.
Any kind of art is risky to start with, and parents will normally say,
Yeah.
don't go to something which is unknown. Stay with
Yeah.
something where you get guaranteed income.
Yeah.
That's where many youngsters are.
Yeah, I mean, I've only met one parent so far who, like the mother of somebody I know, whose son is an assistant director, who basically said, we have only one son and we are pretty well off, so we just want him to be happy and do what he wants and stuff like that. Yeah, I've only literally met only this one person.
Most parents are very anxious about
Yeah.
somebody getting into creative.
Creative fields, and like that's something that that even culturally you have to be strong to withstand. Societally, I'm saying, it's like when I was in those 5 years, my friends were already in high positions in be taking a bus, and they'd be coming in some fancy car, or they'd casually meet at a fancy restaurant, and I'd be thinking twice whether I should go or not, because if you have to pull in money. The thing is, I don't want to make some big drama out of this. It's my choice. I have to live with my choice, right? But these ridiculous external things which should not matter technically, but they somehow creep into you and start bugging you. I'm saying all those things you have to learn how to manage. So there's a big psychological component to this taking up a creative job, or any job that is away from the norm. And you have to be able to manage the psychological component either on your own or through a friend or a partner or something like that, or through a professional like you, so that that is gone from your mind and you're free to focus on the job, because it's very difficult to keep trying to do something when your mind is already plagued by all these other issues of oh my God, like this guy's suddenly got a promotion and they're earning so much, and when am I going to get to this stage, and this and that and all that, because you're like, you should be looking right ahead. What is my next step? Now, whereas that person has already passed you, he zoomed past you, simply because they've kept at their job for X years, they've not changed jobs, they've been promoted steadily, or IT, and some of them will retire very early because they've made a ton of money with stocks or shares or something like that, or they'd be a venture capitalist or something like that, and they would have invested in some tech thing that would have been bought over by Google or something like that. So you hear of so many stories like that, right? It's like so it's very important to keep your goal in front and realize that that is your goal and that is different from other goals, and that's your path is different. And see, now I'm speaking like some big Zen philosopher, right? It's like, but that was a very, very scary period for me. It was a dark period. It was like really, I didn't have too many people to talk to. So it was scary. It was a very scary period. And, luckily, after 5-6 years, something happened and things opened up. But yeah, I would say, otherwise, I would say that actually to take up any kind of creative job, you need to have that mental, I won't use the word mental strength, because that will mean that I was strong. No, but you have to have a way of managing the doubts and the other things that will creep.
Resilience rather than
strength. You have to figure out a way to keep yourself mentally sane and at an equilibrium when you're going in that path, and keep yourself positive and say it's going to happen, and not like when will it happen, oh my God, is it ever going to happen, not those things, but say it will happen and keep thinking positive. And that's one of the easiest things to say. It's one of those, what they say, easier said than done.
Yes. That has been great advice for youngsters. I'm thankful for that.
No, hindsight is brilliant, it's like it's 2020. So I'm giving you the full flow of all this because I'm sounding like this wonderful Zen saint. But at that time, had you interviewed me, I'd be like, this would have been a very different interview,
So at this point of time, you said about your anxieties when you started off. At this point of time, do you have any anxieties, fears about anything?
I think at a very basic level, everybody who's chosen something different has anxieties because there is no guarantee, especially, okay, let's take my case, right? It's, or a filmmaker or whatever it is, there is no guarantee that this media landscape is going to, actors who were secure and superstars 5 years back are now finding films are flopping left, right and center because everybody's watching it on OTT. Now, who could have guessed that? Who could have guessed that? Nobody, suddenly everybody's watching movies on OTT and there are just some 3 or 4 actors whose movies people are going to watch on the big screen. Who would have guessed that something like the OTT would come into play and suddenly change everything? So I'm operating in YouTube right now. Supposing some other thing comes and swallows it up and becomes the new thing of choice. At some level, that you are in an unstable environment, right? Luckily, at the point, had I continued to be a writer now, I would have had dwindling number of readers because people don't read anymore. And I was writing 1,500 word, 2,000 word reviews, and that would be like impossible to sell today. Luckily, at one point, I jumped to digital media, and that created a different thing because now even if I give a 45-minute interview, people can watch it at 1.5x speed and consume it in, I don't know, half an hour or whatever speed they want and reduce the time. They can still listen to the whole thing, but at a pace that they want. Or they can break it up into 2 halves or something like that. So you never know how things are going to change. Today actors are giving interviews, tomorrow they may decide they are not giving interviews for whatever reason. They decide that interviews are not really helping the film, so why should I give interviews? Directors may decide not to open up or something like that. So what are you going to do? So at that level, there is always insecurity. A director who's making a particular kind of movie may realize that, oh God, that kind of movie is not working anymore. So what do I do now? That's always there. Audiences keep changing, whether it is for the YouTube market or whether it is for the big screen market or even for the OTT market or whatever it is. So you should, I think, always be adaptable, which is why every time I get an opportunity, I jump into it because I basically like a bit of adventure, I guess. So when Spotify offered me a show, a podcast, I said, okay, yes, why not try it out? Because one thing somebody told me, and that has always stuck with me, is that the worst you can do is fail. You try it out. That's been something that I've started enjoying doing. Hopefully that's going to sustain for a while because I'm truly enjoying that lateral thing. That's.
Can you tell for our audience the name of the Spotify show?
It's called Cinema with Baradwaj, Rangan. Very original name, but that's what it is. So so that's something that's happening. Then I've done like a few very, very small roles in films. Whenever people have approached me, they've said, just 2-day shooting or something like that. And I go and do it just for the sake of putting myself into a new thing and seeing what happens. It's also a bit of, like seeing how the set works, seeing from the inside what are the things done to take a shot and things like that because of my interest in filmmaking. So that's happened. But I think every creative person is at heart insecure at some level. The levels vary. So I would say that you have to find a way of, again, just like at the early part of the stage, even now you have to find a way of managing those insecurities, though those insecurities are probably less than what they were at the beginning stage before you establish yourself. But now you still have those insecurities, and you have to learn how to manage them. Because you're am I getting too old to be a YouTube anchor? Am I not talking to the youth anymore? Are they looking at different kinds of reviews than the ones I'm doing? Are they looking for fun interviews rather than the ones that I'm doing? All these are questions that keep rolling through you, but ultimately you realize that this is the kind of work that has put you out there. So you cannot change your personality overnight, or like if this thing. So I think, but I also get strangely inspired by, if I may take his name, somebody like Suri, who's who was identified as a comedian throughout, and even he himself did not think of himself as a serious actor. But then Vidudalai comes out, and suddenly everybody's like, wow, this is like such a great performance. And that's so inspiring. That is so inspiring, because it's that's what, it's very easy to say you can be whatever you want to be on Instagram. But when somebody is actually living that and showing it to you,
as if he has rediscovered
himself, that recharges you and say, okay, so tomorrow, even if this happens, then maybe there is a way I can reinvent myself as something else. That, I think, when that keeps happening around you, I think it helps.
Thanks a lot for talking about fear and insecurity, because it's such a normal thing. Like, it is not, mental health doesn't mean only illness. Mental health talks about all normal anxieties, normal insecurities.
I don't know if there is anybody who doesn't have anxieties or fears about anything, or even body issues, like my face is too round, I had to, I started balding at the age of late 20s. It was at that point, it was like, oh my God, look at what's happening. And now I'm like, this has become my look. So that's what I'm saying. Your any kind of anxiety happens at any time. So yeah.
Do you have any regrets at this point of time about any decision that you have taken, especially about the transition you made from career to career?
You mean from print to digital?
No, from a totally non-creative field to a creative field.
Not at all, because the satisfaction that you get is immense. It's that wonderful thing that happens when somebody truly gives you I'll tell you, with the Maniratnam book, the English book reached the target readers, which I knew those people were fairly cinephile type of people. So I had no doubt that it would reach a certain kind of target market. But what was my real discovery was that when that book was translated into Tamil by this wonderful person called Arvind Sachidanandam, when the book was translated to Tamil, a lot of people read it, they, like aspiring filmmakers, and everywhere I went, a lot of people would gather and thank me, especially at these cinema kind of gatherings, where you're like, after your speech you interact with the audience, right? They'd thank me for writing the book, because they'll say, we didn't know that being a director meant doing so many things. We just thought writing a screenplay means. So that feeling that you get, that somehow you've enabled, you've been a medium between Maniratnam and this aspiring director who may tomorrow become a Maniratnam. That feeling is so wonderful, that's so satisfying. Or even today, when somebody tells you that you're, the other day somebody told me what they learn in visual communication class, when they hear me interviewing directors, it's like that is theory and this is like practicals, So again, I'm being the medium for Vetrimaran, let's say, or somebody like that, to talk to somebody in some place where they may not have access to meet somebody like Vetrimaran. So that is a huge feeling. Like you know, through me and through my questions, they are able to get some kind of, I don't know if education is the right word, or I don't know what is the right word, but they're able to get a certain thing from
They are able to connect to the
Connect.
audience through that.
through the filmmaker or actor or whatever it is. And you know, I'm talking not just about a film lover who's watching the interview for fun or for entertainment, but people who want to enter the business. That's very satisfying. And I would not trade that for anything.
I've seen many of them open up very well when you interview because you're not too intrusive. And I especially loved the interview you did with Dulquer Salman, where you are almost like a therapist.
Oh, really? Okay. I think that started it. You know, it's like people started calling me therapist. I don't know why, but I think
Because he was just opening up, he was very comfortable because you are not intrusive. And he was also talking about a lot of mental health issues, topics. It was almost like therapists talking.
See, I think at a basic level, you have to be sensitive and empathetic to be a good interviewer. Now, I'm not calling myself a good interviewer because I have standards of people who interview that I look up to, and I know that I'm not up to their levels. But what I'm trying to say is that if people think that I'm a good level, then I think it's because this I do know, because even with friends, I've always been the kind of person who listens to them, or like who's there when they call or talk about their issues, or you know, it's not like I'm just going to listen to them and say, oh, Kira, take care of yourself and keep the phone down. I'll follow up. I'll kind of again, I'm not taking any special credit. I think this is part of my nature. This is like my DNA or internal wiring or whatever you call it. So I think that translates to, because I don't look at them as stars. I'm not starstruck. They're a human being sitting in front of me doing a specific job. I'm a human being sitting in front of them doing my specific job. So when you reduce it to that level, and neither of you is above or below, then there is a strange, because you're both weirdly goldfish in a bowl. You know, them to a larger extent and me to a lesser extent, but you're both in a profession that puts you under a lot of scrutiny. So I'm completely able to understand what that other person is going through in a lot of ways, you know. Their anxieties, their insecurities, or whatever it is. So the idea behind the Dulquer interview was not to get him to open up, because
He opened up spontaneously.
Yeah.
I could find.
So once,
but you were facilitating.
yeah. So once they do give me the privilege of, like, once they open up like that and then say, okay, listen, I'm in this frame of mind, then you step inside and enter that zone. Otherwise, that's not a zone you can voluntarily push open, because
Yes, I understood. There you were giving that space, time without really, and he was just flowing. very well.
Yeah. So that I think you should be respectful of. You basically speak what they are comfortable speaking about, and when they do speak about something like this, then it's you know, you facilitate it. Like you said, you an interview is a kind of facilitation. You know, it's like, it's not question and answer. It's creating a comfortable atmosphere. If I'm not being very presumptuous, I would say my job is a little like yours, where I'm providing a safe environment for somebody to open up about like themselves. Let's say there's an actor who says that, you know, I have a ritual before acting. I walk up and down, and then I touch that Sai Baba pendant on my neck, and then you know, like I close my eyes for 5 minutes, and then I do 10 jumping jacks. That's the way I get into the zone. You know, I'm just putting together a few things, right? Now, unless they know that you're not going to mock this, they will not say this to you. They will just say, yeah, I do have my preparation modes. It's like, yeah, and then leave it like that. I think the fact that they open up is see, we all want to share at some fundamental level things that we do with others, right? Maybe the very, very private things we would not like to share, but generally speaking, you want to share how is it that it's like, because like that word facilitation. See, being a good interviewer is not magic. It's not some magical power that you're doing. It takes, like we were discussing, it takes that empathy, that creation of a safe space, the body of work that you built that till that time, that that these people know that you will not invade their space unless they invite you inside that space. All these things kind of come together while making an interview. And I think, of course, the people that you're comfortable with, you can take certain liberties and rib them or something like that. But otherwise, you maintain your distance, they maintain the distance, and once they give you the go ahead, like one of my most satisfying interviews was with S.J. Surya and with Rajisha Vijayan. Now with S.J. Surya, it was because he, without much prodding, he immediately launched into how his whole life shaped up, the falls he had, the hills, the highs, the lows. It became like a life lesson. And I was like, oh my God, this is just like so inspirational to kind of learn from this guy who was this popular actor director, took a big fall, picked himself up, rebuilt himself up into a supporting actor, sometimes a lead actor. He was so open that day. I don't know, again, was it me? Was he in the mood to talk to somebody? I don't know, but somehow that happened. With Rajisha Vijayan, again, it was such a privilege to listen to an actor who has certain things that some people would think are, oh my God, nobody does that, or oh my God, this is too much. Acting is just a job. Why is she going through so much trouble? I mean, like, she's chuma, like, doing too much to kind of. But she was really, like, she has a very particular method of acting, and she was opening up about the way she practices that. Like, for example, when she acted with someone as their daughter, she wrote letters to them to kind of, things like that, which others may just think it's overdoing things or whatever, but that's her method. That's her thing. And when somebody trusts you enough to reveal that and kind of share those things, then I think it's a great privilege. Now somebody can ask, this question. A pessimist would typically ask, what makes you think she's not telling you these things just to impress you, just through you to impress the world that, oh look, I do all this great things to kind of act or something like that. But then I prefer to say, give that, you can never really determine that, because an interview is not about the truth. It is about a kind of a conversation that happens at that particular point of time, which is not to say I've been lying to you right now, but but it's about what happens at that particular point of time. It's that like this exchange of ideas or whatever it is, which, so if I'm not comfortable with you asking me something, I'd probably say, I would downplay that a little and say, okay, and then say, can we edit it out or something like that. But I always give people the benefit of doubt and say, this is their process, this is their way of doing things. So, and I do think that's you have to be trusting in a way, that so that it's okay if people are giving you wrong information, as long as it is interesting information. Because there is no way to know what is really right or wrong. Now, an actor may tell me 100 things, a director may tell me 100 things. I have no way of determining whether anything is right or wrong. or whether they really practice that, or whether they really shoot that way, or whether they really write that way. Somebody can say, I took 3 years to write a screenplay. I don't know if they really took 3 years, but that's what they're telling me at that particular point. So I would rather believe that and continue the interview than to say, did you really take 3 years? Because then I'm suddenly like putting them at like, why am I doubting them, you know?